Hello and welcome to Back to the Boardroom. I'm James.
And I'm Greer.
And this is the final episode of Season 1.
Woo!
Well, Season 1 of ours.
Season 18 of The Apprentice, though.
I can't believe this is the last one.
Me neither. It's actually gone quite quickly. I've really enjoyed doing these podcasts, laughing at all the candidates and frantically making notes every time I watch an episode. Yeah, it's been really good fun.
If you are a regular listener, you will know about pies. Pies were promised twice and we failed to deliver twice. However, we have delivered. So sometime in an undisclosed location last week, a pie handover was attempted. Well, successful.
A successful
A
attempt.
successful attempt of a pie handover was carried out, and we indeed have pies.
Yes, I've been really excited about this ever since you mentioned that Turner's Pies were kindly donating some pies to Back to the Boardroom for us to try. And it's even more exciting that Phil is in the final and we've got to taste what everyone's been talking about on the show. So James has been in charge of picking the flavours on the filling of the pies. And there's some pretty good ones. There's one that you might be more familiar with and then one that's quite out there.
Yeah, so the familiar one, I would say, is, hopefully you're thinking the same, is the steak and Stilton.
Yes.
Although the Stilton isn't usual, so I'm excited for that.
Exactly. Not traditional. It's not a steak and ale. It's not a steak and kidney. But steak and Stilton's quite luxury, I feel like. And then the other one we've gone with, which is actually, I think, a vegan and vegetarian option, is a butternut chili and cheese pie. And now I did think that it was butternut, chili, cheese, but actually it's a butternut squash chili in a pie, which is really quite exciting. I've never had that before, so I'm looking forward to tucking in. Sorry that it's going to be very tempting. You're going to want to eat some food after you've heard this.
I do have a live update. Jo has just messaged me from upstairs because she is also party to pie and has given us a spoiler that the steak and Stilton is gorgeous.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to reveal my pies?
Go it. Weirdest thing you've ever asked me. Yes, please reveal your pies. Look at that, that's a proper dinner made. Mashed potato mound and everything. Now, if you are listening on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts please head over to our YouTube channel. And you'll also probably see this on our Instagram too, to see James's wonderful pie selection. I didn't realise you were making such a brilliant dinner there. I've kept mine in the foil cases that they come in for ease of lifting up to the camera to show. I don't have anything else on my plate. It is just pie. James's food puts me to shame.
I think yours works for showing to the camera because there was the fear of me just spilling the gravy over my laptop.
Yeah.
The gravy is teetering on the edge of the plate.
Yes, exactly. It could have gone all over the recording equipment and that would be the end of Back to the Boardroom. So, shall we tuck in briefly, not to make the listeners really hungry, and we'll see what it's like, and I'm sure they'll be great. Shall we do traditional steak and Stilton first to see if Jo is correct?
Let's do traditional first. Do you know what? I'm so worried about eating on camera.
Well, if you spill it down yourself, we'll cut that bit out and make a feature out
of it. A reel.
Yes. Right. Oh, some crispy pastry on the top. It's steaming. Okay. It's hard to cut into the pie when it's still in the wrapping that I've left it in. James has gone in with the first bite.
It is very nice. My pastry is very soft.
It tastes really good. I thought the Stilton might be quite overpowering, but it's not actually. I've gone in for about 3 forkfuls.
you do get a really rich flavour come through at the end from the Stilton. I actually quite like it.
That's very nice. I'm usually a sort of chicken and mushroom pie person, but that's a good juicy steak pie.
Very good.
Very nice.
Good with gravy. Can recommend.
Good gravy. Well done, Phil. Maybe you do deserve to be there in the final after all.
It's a good pie. Good pie.
Exactly. Right, shall we try the one that's a bit of a wild card? The butternut chili and cheese. Now, it's actually vegan cheese, isn't it?
It is vegan cheese, not vegan truffle cheese, though.
Not vegan truffle cheese.
And
truffle cheese
I
is the
can
best.
smell the heat.
Ooh.
You know, the spice.
Smells quite spicy, this one. Oh, very hot, as in temperature.
Very nice.
Very nice.
The kick hasn't hit me yet, if there is a big kick, but very.
It looks like it's got some beans in there, some onion as well. Yeah, very nice. Not really, really spicy. It's just a good flavour. Actually, for a vegan or vegetarian pie, it's very flavoursome. Different, but still really good.
I think I still prefer that. What is it doing? If you're watching on YouTube, my camera's just giving it thumbs up. It's like Phil has hacked in to the back to the boardroom stream, and every time we talk about the pie, an
emoji comes up from somewhere.
Exactly.
This hasn't happened before throughout all of the recordings of the podcast, but today a thumbs up is happening. Be good if it was Alan Sugar's pointing finger emoji coming up.
That would be good. But yes, I think if it had to go with two of them, I would go with the steak and Stilton. But the butternut chili is a close second for me.
It's good. I would definitely stick with the steak. Butternut chili, really nice. But if you want a good traditional pie, that steak and Stilton is excellent. Oh, James is tucking straight into his dinner. We recommend. Thanks, Phil, for sending us these again. It was really, really kind of you. And it's added a nice bit of 4D to our podcast.
Very nice. Yes, we will tuck in and get back to the show.
Well, the final came around very quickly, and I enjoyed when they answered the phone at the beginning, both having it on speakerphone and listening like two excited children at Christmas to what the secretary had to say. They were meeting in Greenwich. Very random. I thought Lord Sugar was going to give some proper link to the location and then the task, and it didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Something about shipping.
Yeah, shipping, commerce, very loose, but at least he was there on the final. He made an effort, and I thought it was quite funny. The two of them stood really far apart on their own, saying, "Hello, Lord Sugar," with the echoes all around.
Yeah, definitely. And they got a lie-in, 6 a.m.
They did.
Which does bring me on to a very, very important part.
A very sore subject.
It's the final result of the narrator hours. So if you're watching or listening for the first time, firstly, where have you been?
Exactly.
But this is the challenge where the narrator says an hour in the show, and we guessed in, I believe it was the first episode, how many unique hours or distinct hours there would be throughout the whole season. And we now have the final result. Just a reminder, I said 17, which we were on last week, and Greer said 20.
Randomly, with no calculations done at all.
You like to remind me of that every time.
It's because you pressured me. You were like, we're going to need an answer. And so I just randomly said 20, which was wild. And yeah, I'm intrigued. I feel like it hasn't got high enough for 20, but you'll let me know.
So there might, I think there's a bit of, I don't know, there might be a bit of a dubious thing.
Okay.
Today. So we had 7 unique hours of a total of 8. And one of them was new. So we end with 18 unique hours. Now, I think it should be 17. Do you know why?
Why?
Because one of the one unique hour that topped it up to 18 was midday. Now, technically, that's not a 12 p.m. It's a midday.
Oh, Come on. You just want to get bang on that 17 to win. Because you got 18, which is still closer to 17 than I am with 20. So you still win, but you're not happy because the detail is not accurate. Midday is an hour. It doesn't mean anything else. It's not a word that you can use for anything else. It's 12 p.m.
And the narrator did say it.
And the narrator did say it. If we were counting how many times does the narrator say PM and AM specifically, which would be even more niche for everyone listening, then you might have a case. But you still
dismissed. Win. Yeah, so 18. I mean, it was close. Like, you were only one away.
That's a good challenge. That was fun. I liked how every time an hour came up and was said on the TV, we'd both at home go, "There's another hour! James has to count!" And I kept thinking, when they said 6 a.m, I was like, no, it's a duplicate! I'm not going to win. So, fun game, but I'm going to think about it a bit more strategically next time. Something that you brought up last week, James, is because both of the candidates already have fully running businesses, the final challenge is going to be a little bit different, because most of the time, the people that get to the final, they have to sort of make up their brand names and everything from scratch, which they still had to do here, but it was a bit more of a performative exercise, just like the rest of the tasks, rather than sort of the start off of their business that they usually do. So Lord Sugar said they had to create a new brand, a digital billboard, and then pitch to Lord Sugar and industry experts. So, and we got to see some of our favourites come back. What did you make of the selection of people that we had to choose from?
So yeah, the selection, that brings back, I think a good selection of people got brought back. I was so pleased to see DJ Verdi there, and I was also very pleased that Phil chose, the bromance is still there.
It is.
DJ Verdi.
Yes. I thought it was funny. So it started off, it looked like it might be a male and female split until Rachel went for Trey. But one of the things I thought was quite funny, obviously, there were two pie men in this series. You had Pie Man Phil and Pie Man Paul, and Paul went out quite early on. So you might be forgiven for not remembering who Paul was this far into the process. But he was left to the end, poor guy, and he had like the same similar business to Phil, so you would have thought Phil would have got him on board straight away, much like Rachel did with Sam, but no, poor Paul was left at the end.
Poor Paul. The funniest moment from that is, I think, when Raj was selected, she was ecstatic, and then it cut to Lord Sugar, and he was just like, yeah, just interesting. He wasn't impressed, obviously.
No. I got the impression, didn't Raj think, I guess she was surprised that she was picked. She was excited, but surprised. I think she thought she was probably going to Rachel's team. But Lord Sugar wasn't having any of the enthusiasm, was he?
No, not at all.
No.
They got him out of bed this morning early.
Oh, yeah, exactly. He doesn't have fun in the morning, as we know. He needs to wake up with a slow continental breakfast, as we've discussed. One thing I thought was interesting, though, is I didn't realise that Phil had 5 pie shops already. I mean, he's got quite an empire going down in Sussex. Rachel with her 2 gyms. She's got one in Leeds that seems to be very, very busy and profitable. But I was surprised 5 seems a pretty good business to be coming on the show with.
Yeah, definitely. Very strong. But I guess could be stronger, because that's ultimately why he's there.
Exactly. And they started picking sub-teams, which I thought was always fun. Surprised that Phil went with Verdi for the leader of the sub-team. We love Verdi. We've had a great time watching his silly moments throughout the series. But in the final challenge, where it really matters, are you going to put DJ Verdi back on directing again? Because you never know what he's going to create.
You never know, but fair play to Phil, he went for it.
Exactly, but didn't you just want to pause the television or leave the room when Verdi was trying to convey his billboard idea, and then Raj kept butting in, sorry, I have a few things to say, and Verdi was like, I'm not stopping, I'm just going to keep going, talking about this video loop. Sorry, I have a few ideas that maybe just really want to dig a hole in the ground and get into it. It was just so cringe. And then after all that, she came up with the worst name anyone's ever come up with. Shall Phil call his pie business Fill My Pie? Which I just thought was bad. I was laughing at it from that is a terrible pun point of view. And it took me a very long time to work out, oh, actually, that probably would not be good as a brand name for other reasons as well.
Yeah, not at all. Well, I guess we'll come on to that in the boardroom.
Yes, exactly. So, coming up with the names, Phil had his sort of already in the bag with his prestige pies. And then there was a lot of discussion around the word build for Rachel.
Yeah, so, I mean, prestige pies was okay, but I thought it was quite a safe bet. I don't want to be, hopefully this doesn't sound rude, but it's quite a bit boring.
Yeah.
Whereas yes, Rachel came up with this studio build, bit more out there, but also a bit odd.
It was. And Flo, she said it could be misconstrued as a building company or something, which I thought, well, maybe, but, surely the rest of the billboard and everything is going to look gym related, so it probably won't. But that wasn't the first person, or the last person, rather, to say that. Lots of people continued.
I think we had builders, plumbers, and someone to sort your damp out.
Exactly.
I think that was a Lord Sugar special, that one.
Yes, sounds about right. I wasn't sure when they were coming up with, the terrible logos. They're just always so bad. I don't know why. But Rachel started off with that black font on sort of white background. Looked quite good. Then she thought, I'm going to put a sweat drop, which, really? I don't know if I want to be reminded that I'm going to be uncomfortable and sweaty at the gym in picking my gyms. Not that I'd probably go to one regularly anyway. But then also Moira came back, who could have been your winner, and suggested, shall we make it brown? No, we don't want a brown drip on our logo.
Yeah, that was not great at all. The thing that instantly... So, of the two, I prefer studio build. I think it looks more professional.
Yep.
However, the feedback from last week from the interview stage was, this doesn't stand out and looks like every other gym. And I think it still doesn't stand out and looks like every other gym with a droplet.
Yeah, I think so. And then they added blue on it as well, like a blue box and stuff. And I thought it reminded me of the WaterAid logo, the water charity.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Project Studio Build did sound a bit like some sort of charity project as well. Yeah, bit of a weird one, but at least it wasn't the clip art pie and the strange cupping hands underneath the pie, which I don't know. My mind went a bit wild with what that could look like. Yeah, a bit of a weird one. And the font that Felicia kept going on and on and on about. Yeah, I mean, it was hard to read. It was too much of a script font on everything.
Agreed.
And yeah, not a good one when he's got such a good brand anyway.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, throughout the whole thing, from the design to the feedback to the judges' feedback, cartoony and just, I don't know, it just didn't look professional. Like, it doesn't appeal to me, that sort of logo. Yeah. So would I have gone for I would have probably gone for a more simple design like Rachel's, but have it look slightly more professional, I guess.
I love it when they obviously do the billboards and the videos, and I can't believe that there's still cringy moments to be had this late in the game, mainly because of Verdi. We had Trey in the director's chair on the other team as well, so it was battle of the two sort of big personalities when it comes to being in front of the camera. And I I mean, she's great and she won lots of tasks, but Raj is just so funny. She was so overly dramatic with smelling that pie, and it was so far away from the camera you couldn't even see it.
Yeah, not great, to be honest, but made for good watching. But the thing, I maybe you'll guess what I'm gonna pick out from Verdi's billboard. The thing that irritated me the most.
Was it?
Oh yeah, go
I
for
was
it.
gonna guess. After all these podcasts with you, maybe I can guess your annoyance. Was it something to do with the fact there was like a weird overlap of the orange and Raj like coming out from behind it or something? It just didn't look very slick.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
That green screen move out. They could have done a fade or something, but no. There's a straight line, and then Raj just disappears.
Yeah.
I did not like that. I'm sorry, DJ Verdi.
Not up to standard. And then the other team, I thought actually it looked a lot better. It looked slick. The only thing I agree with Flo was Sam's sort of strange 80s lycra outfit that she wore. I guess it's funny, but Rachel was sort of talking, make it look quite luxury because it's a high price point and stuff too to join. And Flo said she looked like the female version of Mr. Motivator, which was just the most accurate description on anything, but they didn't agree. She said, as a woman, it's nice to have a bit of colour at the gym. I thought I wouldn't be seen wearing that though.
I was expecting some prominent brands like Nike or Adidas or Gymshark or something like that to own the gym wear.
But for your brand watch, that would have been good. You would have spotted those and we'd have had extra segment.
Maybe they couldn't have done that because of maybe that's why.
Maybe. It was a bit sort of what they had at the back of the props cupboard. It looked a bit dressing up box, didn't it? What sort of children's TV show was that on before it turned up on The Apprentice? Yeah, very weird. But the other things that obviously they had to design was Rachel did like a 3D world of her gym, a mock-up, and then Phil did a pie gift box. My bugbear with Rachel's, it looked really good, and the walkabout and everything was great, and she'd done it well. First of all, it was a lot more high-tech, and it looked shiny and perhaps more impressive than Phil's cardboard box. But what annoyed me is they kept saying, "Oh, I've made a metaverse." It's not a metaverse. That's not a thing. It's like a 3D walkthrough. Sure, that is not part of the metaverse. Mark Zuckerberg has not had Rachel's studio build as a function on the metaverse. It annoyed me.
The metaverse got to be on trend in 2024.
Yeah, I know, but it's just factually incorrect, and it was really annoying me. And if you haven't worked out already, we're very pedantic about getting the details just so on here.
It did look good though. The walkthrough looked quite good, and yeah, it was probably as you said, it's much more shiny and something to show off than a pie box.
Yeah.
So I guess that was an advantage there.
I think so. I was just thinking, like, what could she have done differently to sort of show off the gym, because it's sort of an atmosphere and it is a physical building. So I guess other than just like photos of her current setup or like a photoshopped thing, I don't know. It wouldn't have been as good as the pie box. So I guess the producers had to think of what on earth can they do. Yeah. It's just interesting, but yeah, I'm mainly annoyed by the fact they were using the word metaverse to just mean like a 3D walkthrough. It's like when people would call just an audio clip a podcast because you've spoken and there's some audio of you. They're like, oh yeah, it's a podcast. No, that's some audio.
Podcast. Yeah. Everyone's a podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the pie box just fell a bit flat, to be honest. Yeah, again, from the logo and the font, I didn't like that from the start. And I think I get the idea of a gift box, but if it's for posting, like, you're wasting a lot of money on having plastic windows.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, to see the pies. Like,
You don't need
realistically,
that. They don't need to stare out travelling around the Royal Mail system, do they?
Exactly, because they're going to get to your door and then you're going to open them, and that's it.
Yeah, I imagined it being sort of like a gift box on a shelf at like a farmer's market or a garden centre or something that stocks things like that, which is good. But he was on about doing pies by post, and it just didn't really fit. But there was an opportunity to do something really fun and bright and eye-catching with that packaging, and I couldn't really work out why he decided sort of just to keep it a white cardboard box that's like not having a design on anyway. I know there's a few like little purple or whatever pie images on it, but I was like, it still just looks like a trade box.
And then finally onto the pitch, and I must say, I thought both of them, at least what we saw in the edit, both of them spoke really well. I definitely before in a practice when he was with Verdi and Paul, Phil seemed incredibly nervous. So
yes,
I'm glad it went well for both of them.
They both did look nervous. It meant a lot. You could see Rachel was quite emotional at the beginning, talking with the other candidates. She really wanted it, and Phil as well. I think, the nerves were making his voice shake a bit. But as you said, both of them, best pictures of the entire series. Most of the pictures that have happened have been a car crash. So because they knew the subject matter here, and it obviously meant a lot, it went really well. And they both started off, I thought, interestingly, quite personal. So Phil talked about, his parents thought he was a lazy person, sat on the sofa, and he needed to get on with something, and he's built his business up. And Rachel spoke about actually watching The Apprentice as the programme when she was younger and getting really inspired by it. And I just think it's funny because there's a few shows that I've watched that the candidates or the participants now talk about watching the shows as children, and now they're actually on it doing really well or whatever, which is something that we haven't really had before, and it's only started coming up in the last few years, so that was quite a nice thing.
Exactly, it's come full circle. The one thing I would like to add, because you know me, I'm in it for the detail, and this is not to put down Phil's presentation at all, but in terms of I like a good presentation, a slide deck.
Yeah.
And I thought Phil's was quite standard, what I'd expect. But Rachel's was incredibly polished. Like, from the picture placement to the fonts, like, it looked like someone professional had done her slide deck. So, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Now we've analysed the 3 different parts of the final, we need to do some awards. So, we've had the whole series, and there's been ups and downs, laughs and crying, I guess, or arguing.
The candidates there might have been crying. I personally haven't wept over the series. Not yet, anyway.
And so we thought we'd compile together some awards and tell you why we think we are giving them, I guess.
I hope you haven't taken this too seriously, because I really haven't taken it seriously. So I thought my first award I'm going to give out is for the best joke of Lord Sugar's of the season. And it is going because of the name Cheegan V's. The best joke I'm awarding to Tucking Ferrible from the other week when we had to do the cheese task.
Fantastic. A good one to start off with. I'm going to start off with a similar theme. I'm going to give the award for the best candidate for cheesy jokes.
Oh, we both went with cheese.
To Steve.
Yeah.
I think he came up with Cheegan V's.
I think so.
Yeah, so interesting how we on the same wavelength. But yes, over the series, particularly when Steve's in the vehicle, or the vehicle, the mini people carrier or whatever it's called, he cracked some cheesy jokes, and that's kept me entertained throughout the series. So there we go.
Nice one. 2 cheese-themed and Steve-themed awards to start off with. Now, my next one, I wanted to give out an award for the most cringeworthy moment of the series from my personal cringe-ometer. And it's going to go to Moira for Sauvignon Blanc, where she made a group of people stand and connect with the earth and then shout Sauvignon Blanc about 4 times on a tour.
Yeah, I think, I don't have anything to say to that. I think good award.
Thank you.
So, carrying on with the loosely tied in to cringeworthy moments, I've got a joint award victory here for the award for the best face puller this season. You know, the one that goes...
Yeah.
And that is tied between Baroness Brady and Flo.
Oh, yes, that's so good. When you said that and did the little impression, I thought we could have awarded it to, you remember the man who was the graphic designer pulling faces last week with Faluso? I thought he could have been a contender, but yeah, good old Baroness Brady. Or young, if she's listening. I didn't mean old as in age. Please still be my friend. Okay, on to my third award then of the evening. So, the most unexpected logo element I am awarding to the Arctic cereal when there was a fluffy polar bear, excuse me, that you didn't notice. But yes. I'm not sure how.
God, that seems ages ago.
It was. Yeah. It was. Unfortunately, it stuck in my mind, seeing an explicit part of a polar bear. But there you go.
If you talk about, I know this is not really a award, but if you talk about bears, all I can think about is the random grizzlies going like this on the game.
Near the petrol station. Yeah. Wow, what a great game.
Fantastic. So, I guess we'll keep it light. And I'm going to go with the award for the best laugh in the boardroom.
Yes.
And I think it's this episode with Raj and the Fill My Pie.
Fill My Pie. Karen thought that was particularly funny, I thought.
Yeah, it got a reaction from Lord Sugar, Karen, and Tim. And then Raj just admitted she didn't realise what it meant. So laughs all around. Well done, Raj.
Yes, great moment. And then a very, very niche award for my last one. This award goes to the only person to have physically made some money from a task. And it goes to Trey after Verdi used one of his remixes and he got some royalties for the inclusion. So well done, Trey.
Love it. That is good. Well, funny that. My final award also goes to Trey. And this is a more serious award. It's for best presenter. I feel out of everyone, Trey was fantastic at presenting to the audience, telling the story, really selling the product. And yeah, just think he's a pretty cool guy.
I thought you were going to go for snappiest dresser. You said that in the first week. But yeah, Trey, he's been a good candidate this season.
Just shame about the product. Sorry, Trey. There we go. The 2024 unofficial Back to the Boardroom award.
Now let's go back to the boardroom for the final time this series, because we need to have a look at pies versus gyms, or as Lord Sugar says, do I want to make people fitter or people fatter? Which I thought was great. Difficult decision, though. I think both of them did really, really well. And as Karen said, the rest of the candidates who had been in the process then had come back. They worked really hard to make something the 2 finalists would be really proud of. So I think it was really neck and neck right up until the end. I don't think Lord Sugar knew which way he was going to go.
Absolutely. I think I really liked the start of the final Boardroom because I don't know, I think it's probably one of the most wholesome moments of the whole series where the competition is, I mean, obviously it's not over, but most people can relax because the majority of the candidates are there to help. There's nothing in it for them per se. So the tone is a lot more friendly and a lot more, just a wholesome moment of them reuniting. So yeah, I enjoyed that.
I liked it too. I thought it was really fun. I liked the other joke from Lord Sugar this week saying to Dr. Paul, did he do the pie fillings? That was clever.
I like that. That's good, actually.
It was good. I think Lord Sugar really did grill both of them on elements of the business that he wasn't sure of. He spoke a lot about Phil's business. While it's got a lot of shops, why is he concentrating on the selling online model, and whether he'd actually listen to him as a business partner going forward because he was so sort of invested himself in that pies by post. And then also Rachel, he was unsure how she was going to keep the ethos of her business and that personal aspect of her small gym that she's got now across a wide range of gyms. And it was a lot of training up staff and then keeping the trainers in the business rather than them sort of gaining a clientele and then leaving. I mean, they're quite hard things to put across and say, this is what I'm going to do and these are my reasons in that short amount of time. So it was interesting. I think he was thinking a lot more on a real business mindset, Lord Sugar, going forward, really actually talking about the real business stuff. I enjoyed that bit of reality about how actually their real businesses are going to expand.
Yeah, I think he got irked about one of Phil's comments saying about he's not in it for, well, I can't remember what he said exactly, but it's not all about the money. And I mean, I'm sure Lord Sugar obviously disagrees with that, but I think that was, I can understand that. I think Phil sees it much more as a family thing and a legacy. Obviously, you have to make money. That's obvious. And the idea is to increase how much money you make. But I kind of understood what he was getting at.
I did understand as well. And I think he has been talking the whole way through, as you said, about family, and it's really important to him. I just wonder that while that can be true, perhaps that's not a thing to say in an investment meeting when it is all about money. And I think Lord Sugar, yeah, okay, he cares about the story, but he really does care about how that story is going to make him money. It is all about the money. I'm thinking, on other examples of that. Imagine if you went into sort of Dragon's Den and said, oh, it's not all about the money, and they're sat around with their wads of cash and stuff. I just think maybe Lord Sugar probably knew that it wasn't all for the profit with him, but he didn't need to explicitly say that.
Probably wrong time, wrong place.
A little bit. So I was shocked when it was Rachel. I know I say I'm shocked every week when someone goes out, but I actually did think it was going to be Phil because he had been kept in this long. There's been obviously big talk about Phil on social media, more than Rachel from what I've seen. People watching seem to really like Phil because he had that bit of a story about, being the underdog and then winning at the end possibly. But it was Rachel. And I think partly it was down to the fact that she had a profitable business and Phil, he had recently lost money.
Yeah, I think it's really tight. I could have still seen it go either way. I think both were worthy winners. And yeah, pleased for Rachel. I'm interested to see where it goes. Studio North, I think. And now, I don't know if you remember, Greer, but we actually messaged Rachel to see if she wanted to come on back to the Boardroom. And she seemed up for it, but said obviously she couldn't until the show had finished airing.
Yes.
And our reply to her was, something like, no problem. We hope by that it means that you end up winning the show. So comment. The message definitely aged well, and I'll definitely be bringing that back up with her in our DMs.
Yes, I do remember sending that, actually. Now you said that. That's funny. Oh, if it was like the Grand National, we could have had a bet on the winner then with that.
We could. But talking about bets and predictions, we did get our joint prediction. We got absolutely spot on from week 1. Phil Turner would be the runner-up.
That's so funny.
I'm quite pleased with that.
Yeah, I know. Well, you've kind of got more winning predictions, and you've had that taste of glory, whereas, this is one of my only small wins from this series. But yeah, I don't know how we managed to think that way back in week 1, but I'm pleased that we did.
This week, we've had 2 people message in. One was for a bit of homework. Can you believe it or not?
I love it that people are giving you more homework.
I know. And the other one, a live reaction. So we'll start with the homework. So this was from Tim. Thank you, Tim. And he said to me, question for your next podcast: is Phil the first finalist to have ever reached the final with only one winning task? And the answer is yes. He is the first finalist. I mean, technically he won 2, but we're not going to count the interviews. The nearest person to that was Tom, I believe, who actually won The Apprentice in season 7, who made it to the final with 2 tasks. 1 instead of 1. So
Phil gets an accolade somewhere.
Another record there, yes.
I have a message in from one of the biggest Apprentice fans that I know, my mother. She watches every week if she can stay awake long enough and doesn't fall asleep on the sofa, which she'll love that I've just told the world. I asked her, what did she think of the final this week? I said, if you get your message in now, it'll be read out on the podcast. As she's had some fast texting, and she said, really good. I thought the Pie Man was very good. She can't be bothered to learn the names. Pitch was good, 3 goods, and very gracious to Rachel. Oh, she remembered Rachel. I would have liked him to win. Alan Sugar found it very difficult, I think. Night-night, which means don't text me anymore, it's very late. But there you go. Mum obviously liked Phil, but yeah, she too noted that Alan Sugar seemed to have a difficult time deciding this year.
So, similar theme. We've also got some reactions from Adam and Rihanna, who've messaged us saying, thought it was genuinely tight, quite surprised it wasn't Phil, but we think he'll be all right. He will get loads of publicity, and also giving away 50% of the business is huge, and he may not regret losing down the line. And also, he's got good advertising from everyone saying how good the pies are, including Baroness Brady.
That is a good point, isn't it? That one of the things, the advantages of having his pie by post model and having a big platform, being on a national TV show, probably the most watched show in the UK on terrestrial channels while it's on. Like he has managed to capitalise quite well on being involved. Because if you just had a small idea, or you had a service business like Rachel's, or a physical location like Rachel's, what can you really do to capitalise on it other than posting on your own social media and stuff? But Phil has actually turned this into a business opportunity. And loads of people I've seen on social media have been buying the pies. Even saw Flo with a box of the pies on social media.
And that leads me on to my next point. I checked Phil's Instagram in the last hour, and the Pies by Post website has crashed.
I love it.
Or not crashed, but under extreme load. He said, bear with, because there are so many people going to that site.
Oh, good on him.
Funnily enough, apparently also a few of the experts' gym websites crashed.
Oh, wow.
I guess it's clear that being a expert on the show is also great advertising. That was also sourced by one of our listeners.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Thanks for messaging that in. I mean, it's really interesting, isn't it, to see. I know we talk about The Apprentice each week and stuff, but it is interesting to see how being on TV and being a part of such a big show really affects people's lives. And we've said that the whole way through. That's why people are signing up. It's one of the reasons I like The Apprentice so much, is because there's lots of reality TV shows. And actually, The Apprentice in itself is a reality TV show. But because it's grounded in that little bit of business and it actually could change someone's life, you know, other shows could, like Love Island and things like that, in a different way. But because it's based on actually that sort of hard-working attitude, you know, British, stiff upper lip, carry on, you know, self-made, I can see why it's quite popular. It's a good one. I feel like it's got a bit more credibility than some of the other reality shows. And yeah, it's nice to see people getting on from participating.
Definitely. And what I'm saying for next season is I'd really like, not that it's not deserved, I'm not taking anything away from well-deserved winner and well-deserved finalist, but next year I'd like to see the winner of The Apprentice not have a business. And then to start one with the Lord Sugar.
That would be really nice. But do you think those days of that have gone just because of how sort of it is a big thing for numerous reasons? Loads of people are starting their own businesses, sort of side hustles, but people are very business minded, whether that's because things are really expensive in the UK and people are trying to make extra money, or because of the internet or the education opportunities out there online and courses and things like that. It seems like everyone is running their own business, or at least sort of got a bit of a startup, even if it's a small one, you know, selling things online rather than owning 5 shops. I just wonder, do you think, well, we had candidates coming in, didn't we, with just ideas, but yeah, I feel like, I don't know, everyone seems to have a business these days.
I can still hold out for this for next year, but you may be right.
A prediction we can add for next year. Is it going to be someone with an established business, or is it going to be just an idea? Another one to add to the sheet, and more homework for you.
More homework. I bring this upon myself.
For the final time, I've got some Apprentice news.
I'm going to miss this. I
know. Am I going to have to text you and give you some sort of entertainment news updates or something throughout the week?
I think you've got nearly 12 months to bundle them up, and then there's going to be loads of Apprentice news on episode 1 next year.
Oh, there will be a lot. I'll be thankful to not have to have a look at things like the sun and the mirror, though, for a while. That does horrible things to your brain. But anyway, this week, some of our news comes from the BBC website, and it is all about how does Lord Sugar decide who the winner is. And now, this surprised me because I didn't know this at all. So I don't know if that makes me look like a terrible Apprentice expert or not, but I never realised that actually Lord Sugar makes his decision on that final moment. There's a gap between the shoot and the transmission to leave time, obviously, for the editing. And then a lot of measures are taken to ensure that the outcome is kept a secret to viewers, the sort of production team, other than the people that need to know, and then the candidates themselves, because 2 endings are filmed to ensure that the winner isn't revealed in advance, and the finalists find out the day before the transmission of the final programme. So they would have found out yesterday who had won, which I never knew, which is really quite exciting. And that's obviously why you had all of the candidates, Phil and Rachel, posting loads of things, doing as much as they can to drum up business and followers and things like that ahead of time. But I don't know, I like that there's that little bit of fun that they're still finding out just as we are.
Yeah, I also wasn't aware of this. Again, like,
Yeah, so it is odd because as a business owner, you are going to want to decide what you want to do with your funds, or what you're going to do to grow the business and stuff. But I wonder if that interim period you have to sort of wait around and just do business as usual until you find out whether Lord Sugar has actually decided he wants to go ahead with you or whatever, just in case you do something drastic or change exactly what you're doing or whatever. And Lord Sugar's like, hang on a minute, you've completely changed what I have invested in. So yeah, really interesting. And one thing that I wanted to bring up is before the episode this week, from just like a TV format point of view, obviously they've got the after show program, You're Fired or You're Hired if they change it for tonight. But it started off the whole Apprentice episode this week with a short clip of the comedian Tom Allen saying, we'll be here afterwards, we'll have Phil and Rachel and Lord Sugar and Baroness Brady and all that. I thought it was interesting to grab those viewers straight away that usually probably think, oh, I'm not going to watch that, afterwards, to really hook people in. I just thought that was quite interesting. And then I watched a tiny little bit before we started recording tonight. And when Phil came out on the show, Tom said, how are you doing? You all right? And he sort of said, oh, yeah, I'm fine. But, I've just lost investment. He was a bit disappointed. And I thought, I wonder if, because they find out the day before the transmission of the final programme, whether You're Fired is filmed yesterday on the Wednesday, and actually Phil found out and Rachel found out pretty soon before they were going on that show. Ah. No, not tonight anyway. But yeah, I thought that was clever. They made it look like it was live, but it wasn't live. Nice bit of TV editing there. Now, there's a second bit of Apprentice news this week, which James has actually found for us, which is really quite interesting. And you'll know that James has found it because it is detail oriented. It is about Lord Sugar's investments of previous Apprentice candidates. And you found out some surprising information. That is interesting. I wonder, I guess, do you think the original sort of contract, that he obviously invests the correct amount of money, but I guess he can work out how long he wants to stay working with that business or that business partner? I guess maybe there's sort of it's a year minimum, and I guess he can decide whether he wants to continue working with them or not. Obviously, on the same document, it says he's still working with Marnie's Bronx Boxing Limited from 2023. And then the one before in 2019, Dough Artisan Bakehouse, he also ceased interest in that in 2023. So he had been with that business for a while. So I guess it just comes down to his personal preference, really, and how he thinks it's going. Yeah. Yeah. Sweet being the correct word for baked good. So there you go. Some of our final Apprentice news of the series. And there's some good detail as usual. Yeah, I can't believe we've come to the end now. And we've actually recorded 12 episodes. Yes. And one thing I'll miss, which the listeners don't know about, is our post-Apprentice podcast gossip about life, which I've enjoyed, moaning about things to James at midnight on a Thursday. Mhm. Unless I've got lots to gossip about. So, but yeah, I wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who has listened to even just a short moment of Back to the Boardroom this season. It's been really fun for us to make. We've really enjoyed watching and note-taking and laughing at each episode. And it's been really fun to know that so many people have actually been listening, messaging us on Instagram at Back to the Boardroom if you still want to follow us. It's been really fun to hear that you've also enjoyed it too. And you've been, adding to our predictions, telling me who won the elevator pitch every week. And yeah, it's been really good fun. So keep an eye on our Instagram, our YouTube channel and everything, because I'm sure James and I are going to do some further Apprentice stuff when the show isn't on. So it would be nice to still see some of the names that we've come to know throughout the season popping up when we post some new things. Do you have a final thought for us on the final episode, James? What? This thought needs to linger with our listeners for a year, potentially, until the next season. Is to be a great thought. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. A candidate punching Lord Sugar in the face or something. I don't know. There you go. That is one that will linger with you forever. Yeah, it has. Come on, quick, turn the mics off. We're done now. Anyway, we are leaving now. Thank you so much for listening. It's been great fun. Do say hello, as always, on our Instagram at Back to the Boardroom, as it would be great to hear from you when we've obviously not posted a podcast for a while. But thanks again for listening. We'll see you back here soon, sometime in a year. Bye.